What would you do if a complete stranger blew up your world with a single casual sentence? Whoa. The Uber driver's eyes met mine in the rearview mirror, a flicker of recognition in the dim glow of his phone mounted on the dash. We were navigating the late-night traffic on Chicago's lower Wacker Drive, the city lights a blur of gold and white outside the rain-streaked windows. "The Langham, right?" he asked, his voice attempting a friendly tone. "Just took your wife here yesterday afternoon?" My blood turned to ice. I wasn't going to the Langham. My wife Sarah was supposed to be 3 states away at a marketing conference in Dallas. The world tilted, the hum of the tires on wet pavement suddenly deafening. He'd recognized me from her phone's lock screen. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic, trapped bird. I knew, in that gut-trenching instant, that everything was a lie. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. For months, something had been off. It was a subtle shift, a cooling in the air of our Lincoln Park brownstone. Sarah, the woman whose laughter once filled every room, had become distant, a beautiful, polished stranger. The late nights at her ad agency, once a rarity, became the norm. Her phone, once left carelessly on the kitchen counter, was now her constant companion, always screen down. Buzzing with notifications she'd dismiss with a flick of her thumb and a tight, unreadable smile. "Just work, honey," she'd murmur, her eyes already somewhere else. She started criticizing me, my clothes, my job as a high school history teacher, the way I loaded the dishwasher. It was like 1,000 tiny cuts, each one designed to make me feel small, inadequate. The real discovery began with a credit card statement. A charge for $200 at Gibson S Bar and Steakhouse on a Tuesday. She was supposedly working late on a deadline. I knew her team always ordered in during a crunch. When I asked, her voice was sharp, laced with an unfamiliar cruelty. "Are you checking up on me now? God, Mark, I can't even have a drink with my boss without an interrogation." Her boss was a woman. But the charge was for 2 steak dinners and a bottle of expensive Cabernet. She made me feel crazy for even asking, her anger a shield deflecting any suspicion. She was a master manipulator, turning my concern into a character flaw. She and her lover, whoever he was, felt untouchable, wrapped in the arrogance of their secret. The night the Uber driver dropped his bomb, I broke. I had him drop me a block away from our home and walked in the cold Chicago drizzle, the city's noise fading to a dull roar in my ears. I sat in my car for an hour, parked across the street, staring at the warm, inviting glow of our living room window. The life I thought I had was a fiction. The man I was loyal, trusting, loving died in that back seat. I went inside, my face a mask of calm. She was on the couch, laptop open, and gave me a distracted kiss. "How was your night?" she asked, not looking up. The lie was so effortless it stole my breath. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay beside her, feeling the warmth from her body, and felt nothing but a cold, hard resolve crystallizing in my chest. A new man was being forged in the fires of her betrayal, strategic, patient, and ruthless. The gathering of proof became my singular obsession. I was a historian, and now I was an archivist of my own life's destruction. I installed recovery software on our home computer, and the deleted messages flooded in. Hundreds of them to a man named Alex, a partner at a rival firm. They were sickeningly cliché stolen afternoons at the Langham, whispered promises, critiques of my failings. He was smug and she was fawning. I printed every single message, every hotel receipt, every credit card statement showing their trysts across the city. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop, who gave me a folder thick with photos of them kissing outside a restaurant on Rush Street. Holding hands, walking along the lakefront, entering the hotel with overnight bags. The PI's invoice was the best money I ever spent. With my mountain of evidence, I started setting the traps. Sarah's parents were celebrating their 40th anniversary in 2 months with a huge catered party for over 100 guests. Her father, a stern old-school man who valued loyalty above all else, adored me. Sarah was his princess. She was also in the process of trying to launch her own boutique agency, using our joint savings and a loan co-signed by her father's capital. I met with the best divorce attorney in Chicago. We structured everything. We would file the moment the party was in full swing. We prepared a second set of documents to be served to her father, detailing how his investment was being spent on hotel rooms and expensive dinners for her affair. The night of the party was surreal, was held at a beautiful venue overlooking the Chicago River. Sarah was radiant in a silver dress, gliding through the room, accepting compliments. The perfect daughter, the perfect wife. She held my hand, whispering how much she loved me, and the coldness in my heart was absolute. Her lover Alex was there too, an invited guest of a mutual acquaintance. He gave me a condescending nod, the smug look of a man who thought he'd won. He had no idea he was a pawn in a much larger game. At 9 p.m., just as her father was finishing a tearful speech about family and integrity, a man in a suit walked in. He moved quietly to our table and handed Sarah a thick envelope. "You've been served," he said, his voice flat. She paled, her smile faltering as she tore it open. Her eyes darted over the first page of the divorce filing, which listed adultery with Alex, citing dates and locations. At the same moment, a second server approached her father and handed him an identical folder. The room, filled with their closest friends and family, fell into a confused silence. I watched her father's face morph from pride to confusion, then to a deep, volcanic rage as he saw the photos of his daughter, his princess, kissing another man. He looked at her, then at Alex, and the color drained from his face. The public humiliation was devastating. Her mother burst into tears. The whispers started, then grew into a wave of shock that crashed over the entire party. Sarah stood frozen, her social world incinerated around her. I stood up, adjusted my tie, and looked at her one last time. The arrogance was gone, replaced by a raw, primal panic. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. I didn't need to say a thing. I had taken everything from her marriage, her reputation, her family's trust, and her financial future, without raising my voice. I turned and walked out of the venue, leaving the smoldering ruins of her life behind me. I never saw her again. The divorce was swift and brutal. Her father pulled his funding and her business collapsed before it even began. She was a pariah. Sometimes late at night, I sit in the quiet of my new apartment, looking out at the endless city lights, and I think about that Uber driver, stranger, a ghost in the machine of the city, who unknowingly handed me the weapon I needed to reclaim my life. The revenge wasn't sweet. It was just necessary. The end.